it's Craig Haskell, author of the book Syndication Wealth and founder of the Value Hunt Academy, where we help real estate professionals like you break out into building your wealth and syndicating those great deals that you come across. Well, I want to go ahead and welcome you to part 2, how to make fees and back-end profits with a syndication. And in this 7-part video training series, we are shedding the light. We are taking the floodlight on the syndication platform. And you know why? Because many real estate professionals are confused. Yeah, they're mystified. They really lack the understanding of syndication, the process of syndication. And so what we're going to be doing in this video training series is we're going to be answering the basic syndication questions so that you can better capitalize on this platform to start building your wealth. And you know, too many real estate professionals are wasting and missing wealth building opportunities because they're scared of syndications. They're scared of the process. They don't understand it. They're confused. And I want to change that. So if you remember back in part 1 of the 7-part video training series, we covered the foundation of a syndication. We covered basically the starting point. What is a syndication? What the heck is it? Why does it scare so many people? We talked about who the players were. What are they supposed to be doing? And why? We talked about how a syndication process works. What is it? How do things fit together? We talked about that. So now I want to jump into part 2 and talk about how you actually make fees and back-end profits with that syndication. And so let me give you an overview of part 2. You know, we understand the basics of a syndication. Now we're going to talk about how you make money with a syndication. We're going to talk about the financial gain that you can get from putting together a syndication. We're going to talk about the types of fees that we can earn for the services that we provide the partnership, the services we provide the syndication. We're going to talk about the back-end profits that we can make. How are they structured? How are the back-end profits structured? And then finally, I want to talk about why syndication is such a great wealth building platform for you guys. And I want to talk about what the secret is, okay? So that's what we have in store for us in this syndication, in this video training series. Wow, look at that. Remember this slide back in part 1? This is the syndication process. That's the syndication process, and you kind of look at that and you go, wow, Craig, there's a lot going on there. But if you remember, one of the core messages that we talked about back in video 1 was that we are packagers. And if I take and draw a little square around here, this is our package. We are packaging up the deal, and we are packaging up the dollars. These investors right here, that's our package. And inside this package, we're the syndicator. We're the promoter. We're the sponsor. We put this entire package together, this deal together, and we actually manage the execution of the property investment that we're going to make through its entire life cycle. And for those services that we provide, the partnership, the syndication, we earn various fees. And we also get some back-end profits based on the performance. Remember we talked about the fees and profits that we can earn from the services that we provide? Yeah, I kind of showed you that, but I didn't really get into the details. And so in this part here, part 2, we're going to talk about those fees. We're going to talk about the back-end profits that you can build in this video series. And so let's get started and let's talk about the types of syndication fees that you can earn. And so the first one, the most common one, is the acquisition fee. And so the acquisition fee is pretty much what it says. It's the upfront fee that's paid by the new partnership for all the time you spend finding a deal. You got to analyze it. You've got to evaluate it. You got to provide the financing. You got to spend all the time going out and getting financing, putting the debt together, putting the equity together, getting the deal closed, and that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And so you can get paid an acquisition fee for putting that all together of anywhere from 0.5 to, I don't know, 3%. I've seen it higher. of the purchase price. Now, that fee can go up or down, pretty much depends on the size of the deal. I've actually seen guys get acquisition fees of 6 or 7% of the purchase price. But this particular fee that I'm showing you here, 0.5% to 3%, is pretty much the industry standard. So let's talk about the real estate commission. All right. So many of you are real estate brokers, and in fact, you can act as the broker in the transaction for the partnership. But in this scenario, you got to be licensed. And so you can get paid the fee. It actually comes from the seller of the property. It comes out of the closing statement, out of the escrow, out of the closing. And so typical fees for real estate commissions are anywhere from 3 to 6% of the sales price. Okay. Now, normally a syndicator only gets one of these two fees. It either gets the acquisition fee or the real estate commission. Depends on how you get it set up. So you're not getting both those fees, so don't get too hungry there. Next, let's talk about the organizational, or what we call the underwriting fee. And this fee is, again, it's paid up out of escrow by the partnership for you putting together this group investment. And these fees range anywhere from 3 to 10% of the money raised, how much money you're going to raise. And again, it all depends on the amount of money you're going to raise, and in some scenarios you might need to be licensed. So that's the underwriting fee. Now you have the construction management fee, and the construction management fee is an ongoing fee that's paid from construction monies, right? You're putting in capital improvements to the property, and so you're going to have a construction budget, and it gets paid out of there. If you think about it, you're going to do a lot of oversight, management oversight of the construction process, the contractors, the vendors, and so forth. If you're doing heavy renovations, I got to tell you, there's a lot of time involved with that, and so you're going to charge a construction management fee. And those fees are typically 5 to 10% of the renovation budget. How much money you're going to spend, okay? And so there's a lot of time that goes into that. Some of you guys are doing a lot of extensive value add properties, and so you can charge a construction management fee. Next, I want to talk about the asset management fee. And now, this fee is an ongoing annual fee. It gets paid every year for you to manage the ownership of the property and also to manage the partnership. I mean, for example, you're going to be managing the property management company. You might be overseeing the leasing company. You're going to be reporting to investors. You got K1s. You got to oversee all the partnership business. And so there's a fee that goes along with all that work. There's a lot of work that goes along with that. And typically the asset management fee is anywhere from 0.25% up to about 2%. I've seen it higher. I've seen typically it ranges 1 to 2% in that range right there. It really it depends on your situation. Obviously, the bigger deals, the bigger properties, that percentage is going to be lower. And so it depends on your situation. Next, got the property management and leasing fee. And if you think about it, there's a lot of day-to-day operations of a property. You got to collect the rent. You got to pay bills. You got to run the property. You got all the accounting that goes on. And this really is an ongoing fee that's paid from the property operations, and it's paid on a monthly basis. But I gotta say, guys, if you don't really understand property management, if you don't understand what it takes to operate a property, I would avoid the temptation to manage the property yourself. Just to collect the fee, I would avoid that and get a pro to manage the property for you, because they are all about generating performance and getting the property that's operating well. And so I would do that. Now, typical fees for property management range. They range on the type of asset class, range on the size, but generally I'm going to say 3 to 6% of the revenue that's collected on the property during its monthly operations. Now, if you're a leasing agent and you own a retail property, commercial property, or maybe you're an industrial property, you actually can become the listing agent on the property and earn a leasing fee. Now, this works out, like I said, pretty good for the commercial guys that are syndicating deals, not so much on the apartment side, but again, the leasing fees here are pretty much industry standard. Whatever's going in the marketplace, and you guys should know that, typically on the total lease amount, somewhere between 4 and 5% all in. Okay. Next type of syndication fee that you can earn is a refinancing fee. And I got to tell you, having been through this, there's a lot of effort that goes into going out and getting a new loan. Whether it's on the front end when you're buying the property or somewhere during the middle of the process where you maybe have some short-term financing and you're going to take it out and put some more long-term financing on there, so you're going to refinance out the short-term note. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to do that. And so syndicators can get paid a fee if you structure this into your deal anywhere from 0.5% up to about 1% is pretty much typical on the loan amount for a refinancing deal. And now let's talk about the resale commission. Again, at some point in time, you're gonna sell the property, and there's going to be a commission, and you can become the listing agent on the property and cooperate with an outside selling broker. Someone's going to bring the buyer to the deal, and you guys can split the commission. Again, you got to be licensed. In some cases, the partnership can pay an advisory fee if you don't have a license, but that's a whole different situation. But I'm just really talking about a resale commission here. And typically, the resale commission fees are somewhere between 3 and 6% of the sales price. Okay. Now, I've only given you a few examples of the types of syndication fees that you can earn and include in your syndication, but I want to make a warning, and I want to underline that, because guys, I don't want you to add too many fees into your syndication. I just don't want you to do that. I want you to make sure that the deal pencils. It makes a lot of sense, and the deal has a good rate of return. I want to make sure that this is all agreed to in your partnership agreement, that all the fees you're earning are outlined in your partnership agreement. Okay, it's real important. So as you can see, some of the fees that we have outlined here are these 8 fees. You can take them up front. Some of them are taken during the ownership. Others are taken upon the property getting sold. And if you have a property, or a property is large enough, you can actually live on some of these types of fees that you're getting paid. You know what I mean? If you have a big enough property, you got multiple properties, those fees can really pay your monthly living expenses. And so I think the cool thing for you to do is to kind of build up your portfolio so you can get these fees and pay for your living expenses. And maybe maybe you don't know, you actually write yourself a check when you pay yourself these fees. I mean, you're basically in total control of the entire process. How cool is that? Okay, so these are the types of fees that you can earn. Let's move on, and I want to talk about the back-end profits. So what you're looking at right here is a pie. It's kind of the profit pie, and how we're going to split the profits. We're splitting the profits between the sponsor, well, let's call him a syndicator, and the investors. Okay, could be one investor, could be multiple investors, but let's call it the investors. But first, I really want to talk about what the money is. What are the profits? What are the profits? Well, if you think about it, when you sell a property, there's net sale proceeds that you're going to get from the closing agents. And the question is, what happens from that point? How do the profits get split? And the first thing that comes out of those profits, those net sale proceeds, are the return of capital. Right? All the investors' money that they've given you, including maybe yourself that you put in the deal, comes out first, gets paid back. I mean, think about when you got the deal first put together, this is all the money that you raised to buy the deal. All the money. All the sources and uses of funds that you raised to buy the deal. This is what the investors contributed into the partnership. That comes out first. Second thing that comes out is, not always, but in most deals, it's a preferred return. Preferred return. I mean, a lot of times you're going to offer your investors some kind of preferred return. And you're essentially telling your investors, it's saying, guys, hey, I'm not going to make a dime on this deal until you get your money back, and you also get a preferred return. Yeah. And so, Craig, what are typical preferred returns? Well, in today's marketplace, we're seeing those preferred returns somewhere around 7 to 10%. But on average, we're seeing about 8%. Again, it really depends on the property, depends on how much risk the property has. Again, if there's a high value add deal with a lot of hair on it, you're probably closer to 10%. If this is a low risk deal, a very stabilized, very dependable cash flow, you might be closer to 7%. Again, it depends on your situation, but the preferred return on average is about 8%. And in some cases, you think about the preferred return, how does it get paid? Well, the preferred return gets paid out of the cash flow during property operations. But in some cases where the cash flow exceeds the preferred return amount, you as the sponsor can actually take some of that cash flow as part of your split. So, however you agreed to it in the structuring, you get to participate above that. In some cases not, just depends on how you set it up. Now on the other types of properties that are turnaround properties that don't generate cash flow, maybe it's year 2 before it starts generating cash flow, well, they'll get paid and kind of get caught up when you sell the property, or out of cash flow in year 2, 3, and 4. Depends how long you hold it, but it's at a future time when that gets paid. Okay. Let's talk about the third thing that comes out in priority from the net sale proceeds. We had the return of capital comes out first, then we paid preferred return, and then we have accruals. There might be some fees that are coming to you that you didn't get paid for. They just sat on an accrual balance sheet and just sat there. There wasn't enough cash, right? There might be some reimbursements that didn't get paid. And so those are the next monies out. And then finally, we have the syndicator investor split. This is what's left over. This is the remaining money after you pay the return of capital, after you had paid the preferred return, any of your accruals got paid out, and finally the remaining cash, the remaining profits are split. They're split. And they're split based on your agreed upon amount in your structuring, in your operating agreement, in the rules of the game. So let's take a look at our pie right here. And let's say I'm going to give you averages. Averages are the sponsor, the syndicator, gets somewhere between 20 to 25%. That's what they get. Investors get somewhere between 75 and 80% of the back end profits. Now, there's a lot of factors, guys, that go into splitting back end profits, and all this can get set up differently. It just depends on your situation. For example, let's say that you're an experienced syndicator. You've been doing this for a long time. You got a great track record. There's low risk in the situation for you, for them investing in you. You got a great deal. It has lots of profit potential. You can get up to 50% of the back end. I've seen 70% of the back end for a really, really, really great deal. Let's say you're a first-time syndicator. You might only get 20% of the back end. Might only get 20%. But if you got a great deal, you got a great deal. I've seen syndicators get up to 35% of the back end, the new syndicators. So I guess my takeaway here is it's not a one-size-fits-all. It really depends on you. It depends on the deal, and it also depends on the types of investors that you have. One thing I'm trying to do here is give you some sort of illustration on the types of splits that you can get, the back-end splits. And so finally, I want to talk about the awesomeness here, the wealth building opportunities that you have using syndication, the platform that you have right now at your fingertips to build your wealth. Remember, guys, what we talked about in part 1. We touched on it here. We're packagers. We're packagers. We are creating syndications to earn fees and back-end profits. That's our goal. We're packagers. And our goal is to create as many packages as possible over the years, putting together deals with nice back-end profits. That's how we build our wealth. I want you to imagine each box right here, right? You see these boxes? Each one of those boxes is a deal you put together. You package up a deal. And there's equity checks in there. Back-end profits are building and growing over the years. Let's say you just got started. Your first deal was a small one. Okay, recommend. You have a $50,000 box sitting right there. Let's say you do another deal. Next deal is a $100,000 box. Ooh, another year, third year, maybe you do a $200,000 box. You're starting to build your business. You have a big investor following. Let's say you got a $700,000 box. And then finally, let's just say you got a $1 million box. Works with lots of professionals like yourself have done $1 million boxes out of the gate. So these are the types of boxes that you're trying to create. This is your wealth building machine. And you have direct access to this machine as a real estate pro. You're in the game. And the goal is this wealth building machine, it creates a lifestyle. Any kind of lifestyle that you want. That's what's cool about it. I mean, maybe you want to have money for retirement. Or your kids are going to college. Or maybe you want to travel, do the vacations. Or maybe you just want some free time. You know? The kind of time you can kind of do what you want when you want. There you go. This wealth building platform can help provide for this lifestyle. But right now, you got to overcover lots of living expenses. And so you need a job to do that. Right? You got to pay the mortgage payment. You got to pay the utilities. You got a car payment. Oh, wait a second. Maybe you got cars payment. You got food. Maybe you got some entertainment. I mean, it goes on. All the stuff that it takes to live each month, you got to pay for. But ultimately, when we're building up our syndication business, our wealth building machine, we can use the fees that we get from these packages right here to pay for these types of living costs, living expenses. That could become our job to help pay for those same. At the same time, we can be building the kind of lifestyle we want. And you, as a real estate pro, can use this machine anytime you want to build the lifestyle that you want. That's the wealth building machine that's sitting right there for you. And so as we roll out and finish out here, I kind of want to review part 2, what we just went through. We talked about earning fees, right? The fees that you can get for putting together the services for the syndications. You can earn some upfront fees. There's some ongoing fees. There's some back-end fees. These are all the types of fees that you earn for those services that you're providing your syndication. And so there's fees you can earn. But the cool part is the back-end profits. Those are the back-end profits that you participate along with your investors. But I want to make sure that you find a great deal. It's real important that you find a great deal so that you can carve out a bigger back end for yourself and you can get started a little bit quicker. And then we showed why syndication is such a great wealth building machine. Because all you're trying to do is put together those little packages to build your wealth. And inside those packages, 1, it grows equity. And 2, with all the numbers of packages you're going to have, it helps grow your overall wealth. So it's a great wealth building machine. Coming up in part 3, I want to kind of give you a preview. And so part 3 is about the basic syndication roadmap. What does a syndication roadmap look like? What are the things you'll be doing along that syndication path? And I'm going to dig into the 20-step process, the syndication process. I'm going to walk you through the 20 steps that you're going to be taking in your syndication journey, the stops that are along the way. I'm going to walk you through that. That's in part 3 coming up. And so guys, that pretty much covers it. There's more help for you. I want you to dig into the Value Hunt Academy, where you can find interviews, there's videos, there's articles, reports, all on syndicating value-add real estate, right? And so get in there. It's all free. Also, I want you to register for an upcoming training camp webinar. All right? Each month, we just started this, but each month we are holding in-depth training camps, syndication training camps on how to syndicate deals, how to syndicate dollars. So I want you to get signed up, okay? Finally, if you really want to take your business to the next level and you're looking for a coach or a mentor, then let's jump on the phone. Let's talk about how you can get from where you're at to starting your syndication business and starting putting together those packages. And to do that, I want you to contact Nikki. There, you can see it right there. It's Nikki at valuehoundacademy.com. Contact her and she'll get you on the schedule. And we're just going to jump on the phone. I want to understand where you're at, where you want to go, what are some of the things holding you back. I'll try and help you out. If I can't, I'm definitely going to point you in the right direction. So consider that. And let's get on the phone. Let's talk. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope I gave you some pretty good ideas to think about. I look forward to walking you through the syndication roadmap in part 3 coming up in the training series coming up next. And I hope, guys, you reach for the stars and reach your full potential.